basket of cherries, 2/3 are rotten. We eat 4/5 of the rest and use the remaining 25 cherries to make a jam. How many cherries were in the basket initially? Well, let's do this problem using two methods. The first one without algebra, without x, and the second one using equations. For the first one, let's go to draw. We're going to draw, and if you read carefully, it says that here we eat 4/5 of the rest and use the remaining 25 cherries. So we can identify these 25 cherries with 1/5 of the rest. It says that we eat 4/5 and the remaining, of course, if we eat 4/5, the remaining is 1/5. So this part are 25 cherries and is 1/5 of the rest. This is what the problem calls the rest. And if we calculate this as a number, we can multiply and we get 125 cherries. Now, as a second step, we know that before that, 2/3 were rotten. So this part, the rest, is going to be 1/3. We can identify this with 1/3 of the total amount because 2/3 were rotten. As 2/3 were rotten, we may say that this amount, 125, we can multiply or add 3 times, and we get that 375 were the initial amount. So the answer would be 375 cherries. There are other methods without the use of algebra. Now let's practice with equations. If we use equations, we are going to call x to the initial amount. And now we have this initial amount and we take away the 2/3 of the total that are rotten, and then we eat 4/5 of the rest. Be careful with that, because if we had 2/3 that were rotten, x minus 2/3 of x, here we find out that 1/3 of x were the rest. So 4/5, we take away this part, rotten, this part, we eat it, and then the result, the remaining cherries, are 25. Now let's work with this equation. Let's multiply everything as the first step. The x is going to be on top. Now we multiply 4 times 1 for x. And as a denominator, we get 15. And here, 25. The next step would be to get rid of denominators. So we multiply every term by the least common multiple. So 15. The first term, 15x. The second term is a little bit harder. We multiply, we can do it about 30x divided by 3. So we get 10x here. And for this term, we get 60x over 50. So we get 4x. And this number multiplied by 15, 375. Now we're going to get easily to the solution because 15x minus 10x minus 4x is just x. And this is the solution that we have found out is the same, of course, as the one that we got when we do it without equations.